What's up? Today we are back with another update video on the Model 3 and Model Y. We got 2020.44 and then we got another update after that, and I thought for sure this was it. We were getting the full self-driving beta. Turns out it was 2020.44.10.1 and it was nothing. It was just a bug update, bug fix for 2020.44. So unfortunately, no full self-driving beta yet, but we did get some interesting updates for this software release. So we're going to go ahead and go through those now. It is basically the same as 44. There's no differences in there. So whatever bug release it was or bug fix it was that was in .10.1, maybe we'll find out, maybe we won't. It's hard to say what that was. But let's go ahead and look and see what the update has and check it out. So, like I said, this is software update 2020.44.10.1. I didn't even get a chance to do a video on 2020.44 because we got the update to 10.1 so quickly. But in this release, we do have the autopilot set speed adjustments. So now you can actually do it as a percentage of the speed or just a fixed amount over the speed limit for all roads. So that does kind of make a difference, I guess, if you, for some reason, like to be a certain percentage over the speed limit versus a set speed. In my opinion, the set fixed speed is much more usable, because you might want to be, say, 20% over the speed limit in a very low speed area, like say a 30-mile-per-hour zone that's not a residential street. You know, you might be fine with going, 35 to, 35 to 40 maybe on there. It just depends on the street or whatever. But then I definitely would not want to go 20% over if the speed limit was 70, for example. That would be much too fast to be going over. So I usually just keep it as 5 miles per hour over, but you do now have the option to do percentage. So, okay, that's fine. And you can either decide whether it's going to set it based on the speed limit of the road or it's going to set it on the current speed. It still will not, in autopilot, go more than 5 over on residential streets. So it doesn't really make a difference in that case, because again, on the side streets, you're really just going to be able to go 5 over whatever the speed limit is. Even if it says current speed, it's just going to set it over 5 over whatever the current speed is. That's not really a difference. So current speed or speed limit, I always keep it on speed limit, and I always keep it on a fixed 5 miles per hour over. We'll go ahead and look at those menu items in a second to see what that looks like. Then we got some Spotify improvements, which I'm not actually a Spotify user, so that doesn't really do much for me. But apparently that is helpful in some way to people who use Spotify. And media search improvements. Again, this really doesn't do a whole lot for me. I mean, I either use my... actually, pretty much all the time I use just my phone and what I have either on podcasts or I have music from my phone. So that's all I ever use. So really, this whole media search improvements and the Spotify and the media sources, all these don't really do much for me. And now you can change the voice command language. Again, this doesn't do much for me because I'm always going to have it in English, but apparently now you can change the language to a different language set for the voice command. So, could be helpful. And here is this release contains minor improvements and bug fixes. Well, it basically has this at the bottom of every release, but this is, again, a point release after 2020.44, so definitely it did have some sort of bug fix in this release that they are referring to there. So we'll go ahead and go to Autopilot. And here in this screen, you can now see that you either have the choice of doing Autopilot to go based on the speed limit or the current speed. If you say current speed, then there is no offset. If you say speed limit, you have fixed or percentage, like I was mentioning before. So you can either say, oh, I want it to be, there we go, 20%. So see how, like, if you were in a 65 mile per hour zone, 20% offset. Oh, well, it kind of went away there. You'd be going 78 miles per hour. So I do not want to go 13 over, basically ever. That's definitely looking for a ticket. But 7 over in a 35, well, that may not be that big a deal, because a lot of times you're gonna be on a street that most people are expecting to go 45, 50 all the time, even though the speed limit happens to be 35 there. And so going 42 would really just be kind of going the flow. But again, if you're an autopilot, it's not going to go more than 5 over the speed limit in that area anyway, so that really doesn't matter. The percentage is definitely a weird added option here to me, because basically I'm always going to want to go 5 over if I can. So that is, to me, the best compromise, because if I had it my way, I would just go the speed limit. I wouldn't even go 5 over. I would just go the speed limit all the time, but people get really irritated around here if you go the speed limit. So they really expect you to go 10 over pretty much everywhere around here. They're really just going to get right up on your bumper if you're going the speed limit. And they expect you to go 10 over. But if you go 5 over, they usually stay off your bumper to a decent amount, unless they're just somebody that's really irritated at that time. So 5 miles per hour seems like a good compromise to me. So that's why I keep it set on that. So we do have some media improvements apparently. So with Spotify, again, I'm not a user, so I don't have any options for that. You can change which sources you want to have on or off. So I'll go ahead and just turn off Spotify. And on my Model 3 here, I actually don't have the internet connection, so streaming doesn't really do anything for me as well, or the karaoke, or, well, I guess you can only turn off so many. It's kind of weird, but I'll just keep it on that. Radio, phone. Again, radio, I sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes use radio, but almost all the time I just use my phone. So these options are nice, I guess, for some people, but for me, no difference. And I almost forgot the most important test in any software release. Open glove box. Nope. Model Y still cannot open the glove box with a voice command, whereas the Model 3 can do that and has been able to since they released the voice commands update, which was a few months ago, before we even got our Model Y, I'm pretty sure. So later this week, I will go out and do a little bit of autopilot testing with 2020.44.10.1. I did already drive around a little bit on 2020.44, and I noticed actually that there was a lot more of the phantom braking. So it seemed to be a lot more fidgety on side streets. Now, it was very bright at that time, so the shadows and going through, side streets with hills and stuff like that, maybe it would have done that anyway on previous updates, but it seemed like the phantom braking had really gone away. So I'm definitely going to be on the lookout with 2020.44.10.1 now to see if we catch any more situations where that phantom braking is more prevalent now than it was before. I'm hoping that that is what the bug fix was, that they pushed out so quickly to the 2020.44, because it is not good. And man, I'm really looking forward to that FSD beta, because I know that they've got a lot more going on with that. With the rewrite, the cameras all take in the image at the same time, and they do it over the course of time, so they don't have to reevaluate each image individually at the time. So it's definitely a much more efficient way for the full self-driving computer to actually get that information and determine what to do. And I hope that has solved for a lot of these phantom braking issues, where it can tell if the item is actually present or moving or not, and it's taking all the information in at a time, and then over the course of 30 frames per second, it can determine whether that object that it had seen is of concern or not. So if it's just a shadow from a tree, obviously that's not a concern. It should not break for that. So I'm really hoping that that is going to solve it. But also, if just 2020.44.10.1 solves whatever bug that was that they must have introduced in 44, that would be great too. So I will do some testing on that to see how that turns out and get back to you on that. But for now, this was just a quick overview of what was in 2020.44. 2020.44 and 2020.44.10.1. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.